The butcher's apron. The moment the realization hit me, it wasn't a flash of blinding light, but a slow, creeping rot, like discovering mold behind a familiar wallpaper. My Uncle Silas, everyone in the family knew him as the quiet one, the one who smelled faintly of sawdust and pipe tobacco, who carved intricate little wooden birds in his garage workshop. He was a fixture at Sunday dinners, always offering a hand with the dishes, his smile gentle, his eyes crinkled at the corners. He was the anchor of the Peterson clan. I found the box while cleaning out the dirty attic crawl space of his old house after he passed away peacefully in his sleep last month. A simple, unmarked cardboard box tucked beneath a moth-eaten tapestry. It was surprisingly heavy. Inside, resting on a bed of yellowed newspaper clippings, was a single, pristine white apron folded with meticulous care. It wasn't the oil-stained denim he wore for woodworking. This one was a thick cotton, the kind a professional chef might wear, except for the faint, rusty brown stains that had soaked into the fibers. Invisible unless you looked very closely, and smelled faintly metallic. Beneath the apron were the clippings. They weren't his obituaries or family announcements. They were local news articles from 20 years ago, all focused on the string of disappearances that had terrorized the Tri-County area. The butcher of Blackwood Creek. 5 victims all vanished without a trace. No bodies, just whispers and fear. The killer was never caught. The case went cold. I recognized the dates, the locations. They coincided precisely with the 2 years Silas had inexplicably moved away for work, claiming he was managing a remote logging operation before returning home just as suddenly, quiet as ever. But the real horror wasn't the clippings or the blood-stained apron. It was what I found nestled beneath the newspaper, a small leather-bound journal. It wasn't his diary. It was a meticulous ledger. The entries weren't descriptive, they were clinical. Victim 1, initials DL. Date of collection, October 14th. Location, Old Mill. Disposal, incineration, full. Notes, difficult, too much resistance, must refine method. Victim 3, initials SM. Date of collection, November 28th. Location, highway rest stop. Disposal, Blackwood Creek, partial. Notes, satisfactory, clean, the apron works well. 5 names, 5 dates, 5 methods of collection. Silas wasn't just a murderer, he was a craftsman of death, treating his victims like raw materials, his killing a perverse, attentive project. My hands began to tremble, but I couldn't look away. I flipped through the journal, reaching the final entry, dated 2 decades ago, just before he returned home. Victim 5, initials AB. Date of collection, February 19th. Location, train yard. Disposal, personal storage, partial. Notes, perfection. This one will last. Project suspended, need a break. Personal storage partial? The words screamed off the page. He hadn't just murdered them, he had kept something. I slammed the journal shut and ran down to the workshop. The smell of sawdust now sickeningly sweet. His tools were all there. Chisels, saw, planes, and in the center, on his workbench, was a half-finished bird carving. It wasn't a wren or a robin like the others. It was a cardinal, its bright red paint waiting to be applied. I noticed the base of the stand. Unlike his other pieces, this one was oddly wide and heavy. Driven by a terror that overcame all reason, I snatched a nearby screwdriver and pried at the seam where the bird stood on the wood block. The wood gave way with a splintering crack. Inside the hollowed-out base, cushioned by a bed of fine wood shavings, was a small, perfectly preserved object. It was a lock of human hair, the color of burnt honey, tied neatly with a piece of butcher's twine. Taped to the wood next to it was a photograph, an old-school photo of a smiling teenage girl, her eyes bright and trusting. The paper beneath the photo was stamped with an initial, A.B. I stared at the lock of hair, then back at the little wooden cardinal. He hadn't just killed, he had used his gentle, artistic hands to create a tomb for a piece of her, a grotesque keepsake displayed proudly on his mantle for 20 years, a silent monument to his secret life. He hadn't been an anchor, he had been a predator, hiding in plain sight, and every quiet Sunday dinner, every gentle smile, was a lie built on a foundation of bone and terror. And as I stood in the workshop, bathed in the sickly yellow glow of the bare bulb, clutching the journal, the weight of the apron's secret settled over me. He was gone, but his legacy remained. I was the only one who knew the truth, and the question echoed in the silent garage, thick and cold as the blackwood fog. What do you do when the monster wears your family's face? This was a short horror story submitted by SlothLover9915. Any socials they want linked will be in the description below.
Your heart beats fast, the pixels bleed.